Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates, and we have a ton of information to go over today. Some awesome aircraft have been released, some cool apps possibly down the road here, some other cool aircraft also coming down, and then we have this guy right in front of us, the Nvme Cessna 310. We're going to be reviewing this tonight on the channel, and we have a lot more to talk about, so stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. All right, so first thing I really want you guys to do that will help me out a ton and helps you out as well, I promise. Please do me a favor, check the links down in the description below and find my Twitch link. And please follow me on Twitch so that way you guys can be a part of the live stream tonight, going live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be going live with this aircraft here, the Nvme Cessna 310. Now, I've been fortunate enough to get an early access version of this aircraft, and there's some things that I can't show you, I promise, swore. However, there's a ton that I can. Nvme has really set the bar with this aircraft. We're going to talk about failures. We're going to talk about features. We're going to talk about customization. We're going to talk about saving aircraft condition from one flight to the next, wear and tear, you name it. It is all included with this aircraft, and you guys are going to get to see it all live tonight. Again, that's going to be on Twitch. The reason I use Twitch, guys, is actually for your benefit. The chat is very delayed in YouTube. Also, honestly, getting a stable stream is much harder, I find, on YouTube than it is on Twitch. So please do me a favor. It helps me out. It helps you out. We'll all have a good time. It'll be great. Again, link to my Twitch down in the description below. Come follow me over there so that way you guys can be a part of this live stream and all the other live streams that I will be doing this month. We're going to have quite a few of them, and we're going to talk about some of those with the news to come. Okay, so first up in other news here, the newly established developer Coxper has released the Aeropract A22LS Foxbat for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This aircraft is an ultralight aircraft. We have a ton of ultralight aircrafts in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but this one just stands out a bit more. You get more of that general aviation aircraft feel with the ultralight performance. It's got a nice range of 680 nautical miles. It's actually a pretty darn good range for an ultralight, I believe. And then it has a whopping price of €14.99, so I think that comes out to just around 18-19 US dollars. Nothing too terrible. I don't even know if it's that high, so give or take, right? You guys can see some of the features that are listed right here in the article. It is great to see another developer hit the platform. The more competition, the more the bars will be set. That's the community is asking for. So by the screenshots, it definitely looks like a wonderful looking aircraft. We will definitely be checking this out later on this week. You know, again, I am absolutely willing to spend that much for another little aircraft. It strikes my appeal. I love the screenshots. It looks like it hits all the markers for me, and we're going to see it in person at some point before the week ends. So stick around for that video, guys, if you're interested in this ultralight aircraft. Before we get started, as always, I want to give a big shout out to FS Elite for staying on top of the news. These guys are absolutely fantastic. Make sure that you guys do subscribe to their website here. It helps support them. Make sure you give them big shouts out whenever possible. They are absolutely all over it. X-Plane 11, P3D, Microsoft Flight Simulator, DCS World, Infinity Flight. It does not matter. They are all over it, and they do a fantastic job of keeping the news articles up to date and ready for us and people like myself to share with you. Next up on the list here, we have an add-on for prepared but planned version for MSFS, which is why I wanted to make sure that this one gets attention. This is called FSHUD. The FSHUD panel, what it does is brings an air traffic controller from using third-party application to the simulator. As I'm sure many of you will agree, the in-game Microsoft Flight Simulator air traffic controller is lacking, to say the least. I'm going to leave it at that, lacking. And it can be a very, very big immersion breaker. There's a lot of weird behavior that happens with it. There's some things that we expect to see that don't, things that we don't expect to see that do, right? All kinds of very odd behavior that we've all experienced when dealing with the in-game ATC. The very awesome part about FSHUD is it has a lot of similarities going back to things like pilot to ATC, in the fact that you have quite a few different options. First off, it's going to handle all of the AI and player-to-player traffic inside the simulator. So you're going to have a fully functional and audible air traffic controller. Now, the very cool thing is you're going to be able to use voice-to-voice communication, meaning that the application is going to talk to you and you have the option to talk back. Now, if you choose that you don't want to do the verbal communication, you also have the option to simply use your mouse and select the appropriate response for the command that you were given from air traffic control. I'm really, I know this is very, very early on. I know that we only know that it is planned for Microsoft Flight Simulator, but I think that's still something that's very, very huge to bring it to attention, because I know that the in-game ATC is something that causes a lot of frustration. Honestly, that is why I refuse to use it. I absolutely won't. I will not bring it back to the channel unless it were to go through a major overhaul. I mean, it'd have to be a huge change for me to ever bring it back to the channel. I tried it a bunch of times and it just failed. The in-game ATC, in my opinion, just is missing a lot of pieces, right? Just doesn't work the way that we would expect it to. So for $34.95 to prepared users, you guys have this option available to you right now. And heck, I may reinstall prepared. I haven't played prepared in years, but I might reinstall it just to check this out, because it looks like a very, very awesome application. And it will be able to, by doing so, I'll be able to further explain to you guys what the expectation will be for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we are hoping that last line there, we are planning to bring FSHUD to MSFS. Note that some features may defer an MSFS version due to some differences in the simulator APIs, which I can completely understand. For those of you who don't speak geek, what that essentially just means is the difference in the way that the two softwares are built. That means that some features that are available and prepared may not be available in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that would be a restriction coming from the simulator, not the application. Okay, so really cool stuff. Super excited about this. I cannot wait to see more information on this. And like I said, I very well might reinstall prepared just so I can check this out and get an idea of what it really does on the back end. So let's cross your fingers, guys. Go ATC. The Hype Performance Group releases the HPG 145 Action Pack for Microsoft Flight Simulator in early access. It is important to remember that early access means that everything is still in development, but you can purchase it right now and get your own copy of it and start flying these missions around. I've showcased a couple of them here on the channel in their very, very early stages of development. I believe those stages have already been improved upon based on the release that I personally carry. I will be purchasing this aircraft. That is how, or purchasing this pack, regardless of the fact that I was given a review package. I will also be purchasing it simply because I believe in it that much. I can't stress it enough that they were a ton of fun to fly, and I think they're on the right track to really bringing some awesome immersion to the simulator. One of the hardest parts for flight simulation, I think, is taking away the just flying for scenic purposes and bringing in a purpose of flight. And HPG, NeoFly, all these guys that are developing these missions and things for the sim are really stepping up to the bar. And the helicopter missions that are included with this are very, very cool. I want to show you guys one of my favorite screenshots that even I have not had a chance to check out that really excited me, and that was a fire bomber helicopter version. I am super stoked. I want to check that out. I want to see what the details are on this. I think that would be so cool. I have been waiting for some sort of firefighting missions that we could do. I think it'd be awesome. The other cool thing is the animation that you're seeing here actually exists. This is either a patient being loaded or it looks like deboarded from a helicopter after you go and grab them from a rescue mission. Again, guys, check out the videos on my channel. I've done 2 of them on the HP 145 Action Pack. Both of them are rescue missions from car accidents. The scenes are developed very, very nicely. They're put together very nicely. And it's a really, really, really fun experience in the helicopter, and really gains a lot of purpose and puts your helicoptering to the test. So anyways, guys, again, you guys can also check out the YouTube link here as well as on my channel, and you guys can see the action pack in action. But be sure to check out HPG's website for more information on purchases of both the helicopter, which I highly recommend, and the action pack. India Fox Techo, our creators of the F-35, are moving on to the British Tornado. The Tornado is actually a combination of both British and German engineering. It was a collaboration aircraft, and the Tornado has been in service for quite a long time. I want to say right about the same time the F-15 came around. Don't quote me on that, but I know they're pretty close. I personally think the F-15 is a much hotter looking aircraft, if you will, but they are both extremely capable. So I think this will be a very, very fun aircraft to add to the military sector of our flight simulation hangars. However, I really hope that with all of these military aircraft starting to roll out, whether it be the old warbirds or the newer jets, that we come up with some sort of way to simulate, I would say, combat training. I don't want to say simulating combat because, for that you got DCS World. I mean literally simulation, the same way that real pilots would train in the real world. Go up, do some lock-on practice, whatever it may be, some close range, basic flight maneuvers, BFM, and, come back in together and talk it out, right, kind of thing. I think that'd be a really neat way to start bringing some of these aircraft together. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the aircraft themselves, we do have the F-15, the F-14. Now we have the Asobo F-18. We have the F-35. There's the Top Mach Studios F-22. So we're getting a lot of military jets into the simulator, and I think now it's time to start finding some sort of way to bring them together where you can start having a lot of fun with them. You've got things like the Mach Loop and the Star Wars Canyon. That's always cool, but I think there needs to be something else now that someone needs to come up with some sort of third-party application or some in-game way of enhancing that experience. Again, I don't think live fire needs to be included with it all. I don't think we need live fire in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Again, you have things like DCS World for that, but some way to do some sort of combat training, quote unquote, if you will, I think would definitely be a welcome join to the aircraft. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. But again, India Fox Techo rolling out the British Tornado. Now, by the way, we also don't have any kind of release date or any further information other than the screenshots included, but it's coming. She is on her way home. PMDG have hopes that the 737 will be ready this coming weekend. There were two major hiccups, or bugs, I should say, blockers, as they quoted in the article here, that were holding up the release of the aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, hopefully, before the end of the week, both of those bugs will be released. So, both bugs will be resolved. If both bugs are resolved, that they declared as game breaking, like one of them was a major slingshot issue landing in flaps 40 configuration, the aircraft would slingshot once on touchdown. So obviously that's a big one. So, assuming that the two blockers are resolved, we will have the 737 in our hangars by this coming weekend. I'm super excited, very, very hopeful. Crossing my fingers, the PMDG team and their awesomeness can pull this off. If not, no worries. I totally support their idea of keeping the aircraft locked down until then. I think that's definitely still the way to go. But definitely I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that we get our hands on the 737 this weekend. Hell or high water, I will definitely be flying this aircraft. I don't care if I have to stand out on the street with a sign. We will be flying the 737 this weekend. I am super excited for this aircraft, and it is finally almost here. So cross your fingers, guys. The Leonardo Softhouse's Fly the Mad Dog X for Microsoft Flight Simulator, as many of you hopefully know by now, has released. Now, the aircraft does come in at 75 euros. I think that's just shy of 90 US dollars, again, give or take. However, the aircraft looks absolutely fantastic. I've been watching YouTube videos all weekend on it. I was hoping to grab my own copy, but unfortunately, real-world events prevented me from being able to justify that money at this time. But I will definitely be grabbing a copy of it. We'll definitely be seeing the MD-80 on the Overkill Simulations channel here. Now, one thing that I will say is the graphics were a bit of, I don't want to say a letdown because I don't think that's fair at all. It's a bad word to say. They were less than what I was anticipating. Just that the images look a little flat, a little worn down. However, from what I can see from the performance of the aircraft, the features of the aircraft, it absolutely hit everything that we needed to hit. I'm super, super excited for this aircraft still. The MD-80s are really unique, very cool looking aircraft in my opinion. We don't have a lot of pushers in Microsoft Flight Simulator, so it's definitely a welcome addition to the fleet here. And I think we're still going to have a great time with it. So I cannot wait to get my hands on it. And that is something that is definitely going to be happening very, very soon. But first, got to see what happens this week with the 737. Maybe if the 737 gets pushed off, I'll grab the MD-80 this weekend instead. But we also have another one that we're contending for that also released this last weekend. And that is last on our list. The Just Flight releases the BAE 146 Professional for Microsoft Flight Simulator. This aircraft looks absolutely fantastic. I was looking at, again, watching some YouTube videos for those who have already published some in the past, but over the weekend, got some new videos coming out, and it looks great. It looks great. It sounds great. Just Flight, obviously, always hitting the marker with their aircraft. I don't think Just Flight in-house has put out an aircraft that I can really complain about. I've loved everything they've done for Microsoft Flight Simulator thus far, and it looks like the 146 is keeping up with their reputation. They're not going to let anything bring them down. It's a very, very cool looking aircraft, very, very small little plane. I actually saw a TikTok of one landing in Phoenix the other day for the first time. It kind of blew me away. I'd never seen it initially before the first release that I saw about Just Flight's creation of it, and then all of a sudden now it's just popping up everywhere. So again, another aircraft I'm super excited about, and it's quite the battle because again, it's not what I would call a cheap aircraft. You can see your price ranges here from Just Flight. So we're looking at $64.99 US dollars. So it's just one of those like, which one am I going to pick? We got one for 64, one for about 80 bucks. You know, we got, which one am I missing here? And then the potential 737 for 100 bucks plus, depending on which package we go. So a lot of things to weigh in on here, but again, some really great development, some really cool aircraft from really awesome developers who seem to be putting in a ton of time and effort into these aircraft. So it's going to make choosing these aircraft very, very difficult there for a minute. It's going to be, didn't mean to bump that. It's going to be very, very difficult to decide which route we want to go, I think. But got some heavy choices to make, as I'm sure you guys do too. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Once again, do not forget the live stream tonight. We are T-minus 2 hours from the time of this video until we go live with the Milviz Cessna 310. I hope to see you all there. It's going to be a ton of fun flying this aircraft, and I hope that you guys join me. Again, Twitch link down in the description below. Follow me on Twitch. That way you guys get notified when I go live. Talk to you guys soon. Stay safe and healthy, and have a good Monday.